The story of Ballerina Farm is so much worse than I originally thought, and now I have completely fallen down the rabbit hole. Hannah Neelemen is the woman who runs the Ballerina Farm account, and she's been branded as one of the faces of the trad wife movement. This is something I talked about in a previous video, and I obviously am not the biggest fan of certain aspects of it, especially when it comes to the lies that a lot of these people seem to be promoting, because this life is not easy. It's not jobless, it's difficult. And a lot of these big influencers who are in these roles are rich. There's no other way to say it. They're really, really rich. So they have a lot of resources and a lot of time because of those resources. I won't go into all of that now. You can check out that video if you want to. But one of the channels that I talked about in that video was Ballerina Farm. And I gave Hannah the same critiques that I gave everybody else. But now a new article has come out about Ballerina Farm, as well as some other videos that people have been pointing out. And this story is just so much worse, and I honestly feel so horrible for her. She has had to give up so much for this life, for her husband. She has had to make so many sacrifices while he seemingly has made none. So I want to go through this article with you today because it's honestly just shocking. The whole thing is shocking, and I just feel terrible for this woman. And this article, by the way, is an interview, so we're going to get a lot in this. Meet the queen of the trad wives and her 8 children. Hannah Neelemen, also known to her 9 million followers as Ballerina Farm, milks cows, gives birth without pain relief, and breastfeeds at beauty pageants. Is this an empowering new model of womanhood or a hammer blow for feminism? I think you all know by now that I'm really into games. I mean, this was originally a gaming channel. I'm always looking for new apps and new games that I can play, so I was really happy when I found out about Astra, who are sponsoring today's video. Astra is a game discovery and reward app exclusive to Android that lets you find new games, level up your play with fun and challenging experiences, and earn rewards. They have one of the most diverse ranges of games to choose from, so there is always something fun to play. Plus, Astra learns your preferences and recommends games that match your interests. So whether you enjoy puzzles, RPGs, or anything else, you'll get completely personalized recommendations right in the app. The best part of all of this, though, is that you can earn rewards while you play. By playing games that you've discovered on Astra, you can earn Astra coins, which you can then trade in for real gift cards from a ton of different brands, including brands like PayPal, Google Play, Amazon, Nike, Nintendo, and loads more. The Astra rewards are transparent and easy to understand, so they'll always tell you exactly what you need to do to get a reward, which rewards have been redeemed, and where and when you'll receive them. Astra also has daily rewards and challenges. Every day you log in, you'll receive a small gift, and you can participate in weekly challenges for a chance to win extra bonuses. You can also play with friends and earn a bonus when they complete their first challenge. Discovering new games on its own is already great, but I think the fact that you can earn rewards by playing new games is even better. I think you're gonna love this app, and right now you can download Astra by scanning the QR code on screen or clicking the link in my description to receive a welcome gift of 200 coins and a welcome coupon, valid for the first 24 hours after you sign up. Again, that link is in the description for you to check out, so thank you to Astra for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on with the rest of it. Hannah Neelemen was pregnant with her 8th child, and she had 2 due dates. The first date was for a baby, obviously. The second, just under 2 weeks later, was for a beauty pageant. She had been crowned Miss American in August of 2023 at Las Vegas Mega Casino and Resort, so she was invited back to the city to compete in Mrs. World, parading around the stage in a swimsuit and 5-inch heels, shoulders back and hip popped, spray tan glistening, and 12 days postpartum. Obviously. You might have heard about this story already if you know about Hannah Neelemen, but she competed in a beauty pageant 12 days after she gave birth, which is, it's not an easy feat, and it was very, very polarizing when it happened, although most people were quite negative about it. During the pregnancy, it took brute strength, guts, and bravery to make sure she could eventually look so perfectly pretty. She kept fit, weightlifting before her children woke up, she had ice baths, lowering herself into the irrigation ditches on the farm, and she took iron supplements to speed up the healing. On January 2nd this year, Flora was born in the upstairs bedroom without pain relief. without pain relief. Now, I'm gonna come out and say right now, I've never had a baby. So I don't know, how that goes, but I've heard that it's painful, and I am aware that some people choose not to use any kind of pain medication. That's your own choice. I just think, why would you choose that when you could simply not choose to do that? Unless you have a really good reason. Because, ow. How? And also, what's the point? What's the point of not using it if you don't actually have a reason? I've never understood that. The whole natural thing. I don't get it. If somebody can explain it to me, please let me know in the comments. On the 5th day, she says, I looked at Daniel, her husband, and said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go. This is a lot. I was bleeding and swollen and milk was coming in. On the 7th day, she rose from bed, doing her bar exercises in the bathroom. A former ballerina, she trained at Juilliard School in New York. This is something that was news to a lot of people because if you don't know, Juilliard is a university for the arts in America and it is notoriously difficult to get into. The best of the best go there. This is going to come up again later, but let's focus on the beauty pageant for now. By day 9, she was trying on outfits, zipping herself into a pair of leather trousers and skin-tight white ball gowns. Nope. Just one ball gown, sorry about that. Day 10, spray tan. Day 11, a 2-hour flight with a newborn to Las Vegas, her husband and 7 children following behind, along with other members of her family. And by day 12, she was on stage. Luckily, she says, she had stopped bleeding. Was this the ultimate act of empowerment, Neelemen doing what she wanted, or the ultimate demonstration of oppression, her tender body encased in spiky sequins? Neelemen, whether she liked it or not, was declared leader of a new and controversial group of the internet, the Tradwives. The Neelemans and their children, Henry 12, Charles 10, George 9, Francis 7, Lois 5, Martha 3, Mabel 2, and baby Flora. There's too many children. That's too many people to have around you on a daily basis. Live on a 328-acre farm just outside the small town of Kansas. And here's where we begin the interview. Welcome in, says Daniel, her husband, 35, opening the door, baby in his arms. Hannah will be out in a minute. He continues walking into the kitchen. It is photogenic chaos. I would love the picture. I want to know exactly what this means. The antique wooden counters are stacked with Le Creuset pans and mismatched potteries. I count 28 pairs of shoes by the door. Neelemen walks in, a tiny blonde beauty queen, her hair wet and cheeks flushed, impossibly pretty. She takes the baby from her husband. She will not leave Neelemen's chest for the 4 hours we are together. By the way, this line confused me. When I read it, she means the baby will not leave Hannah, not that Hannah won't leave her husband. Even before Pageant Gate, Neelemen was one of the most popular influencers in America, famous online for depicting her family's wild, earthy existence. Her followers have included the actresses Jennifer Garner and Hilary Duff. A devout Mormon who was raised in a Mormon family, she bakes perfectly scored sourdough loaves, milks cows straight into her coffee cup. I hope you have your vaccines for that, and gives birth by candlelight with no pain relief. Living out here must be hard to envision all the millions of eyes watching them. I feel like we're doing what God wants, she says. We're on his errand a little bit, Daniel adds. We're on his errand a little bit, she repeats. This is like some cult stuff, I don't know. Neelemen is the most well-known tradwife, despite having never attached herself to the movement or even used the term. How does she feel about it? We were already together doing what we were doing, Daniel replies instead. As in, he replies instead of letting Hannah reply. And then tradwife came along. We can't help it. This is what we are. If we're trad dad and trad wife, so be it. Hannah, however, thinks otherwise. I don't necessarily identify with it, she says, because we are traditional in the sense that it's a man and a woman, we have children, but I do feel like we're paving a lot of paths that haven't been paved before. That is the biggest paradox. In selling the life of stay-at-home mother, Neelemen and the other tradwives have created high-earning jobs. They're being paid to act out of fantasy. So for me to have the label of a traditional woman, she continues cautiously, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I identify with that. So she's more self-aware about it than I originally realized, which is good, but it's just kind of funny how, he answers for her, and how they include that she's answering cautiously, as in, she's worried about what she's saying. I don't know if that's because of her husband, or because of people who are going to read this, or Mormonism, or people on the internet. Could be any of it. Could be all of it. Is the husband the head of the household here? No, Daniel answers. We're co-CEOs. Yeah, Neelemen says, we are. This next bit is quite interesting because she's being so cautious about everything she says. Is she a feminist? I feel like I'm a She stops herself. There's so many different ways you could take that word. I don't even know what feminism means anymore. She absolutely feels as though she has become politicized by other people. We try so hard to be neutral and be ourselves, and people will put a label on everything. This is just our normal life. We pass the family's minibus, a 15-seater. Is the aim to fill it? Someday, yeah, Daniel says. We're getting old and worn out, Hannah says. Baby Flora strapped to her chest, sounding less sure. So we'll see. I mean, I know I'm reading into a lot of this, and everything that I'm saying is just my speculation based on reading this, but this just reads to me as he's pushing her to have more kids and she's exhausted, because she's the one raising them, essentially. That's what's happening here. And she's currently got a baby strapped to her chest. They have like 500,000 children. They have 8 children. That's just a lot. Was this what she always wanted, I ask, when we get a moment alone while Daniel checks on the animals? Interesting, the answers that she gives when she's not around Daniel. No, she says. I mean, I was like... She pauses. My goal was New York City. I left home at 17 and I was so excited to get there. I just loved that energy. And I was going to be a ballerina. I was a good ballerina. She pauses again, but I knew that when I started to have kids, my life would start to look different. This whole quote, followed by the rest of what's to come, just breaks my heart, especially the I was a good ballerina. This was what I was hearing about when I looked into this, because I was just seeing TikToks being like, I was going to be a ballerina, I was a good ballerina, and like audio of people screaming. And I didn't know what it was about, and then quickly found out, and I'm just like, this woman, she loved New York. She loved the energy of New York. She was going to be a ballerina. She had dreams. She had goals. And that's not how things turned out. And she can only give this answer, it seems, when Daniel is not there. Let's just continue before I punch my laptop because it just annoys me. Neelemen was the 8th of 9 children born to Mormon parents in Springville near Salt Lake City. The family ran a florist and the children were homeschooled. Neelemen gravitated towards ballet. At 14, she went to summer school at Juilliard, returning for her undergraduate degree, which she paid for by competing in scholarship pageants, beauty pageants that offer academic scholarships or sometimes tuition money to winners. Again, she put all this work in to do the stuff that she wanted to do to achieve her dreams. She put this work in. Ugh, it's awful. Daniel also grew up in a Mormon family, one of 9 in Connecticut, the son of David Neelemen, billionaire founder of a number of commercial airlines, including JetBlue. This was something we spoke about in my previous video. He's not just rich, he's like rich, like top tier money rich. His upbringing was moneyed and suburban. Was this what he always wanted, I ask him when he walks back over. Yes, he says. I expected Hannah to be more at home with the kids, but she said, I watched my parents working together, and so whatever we do, we gotta do it together. At least she said that much, thank God. He was 23 and she was nearly 2 years his junior when they were introduced by a mutual friend at a college basketball game. I saw her and I was ready to go, he says. Sign me up, I was thinking, let's get married. But she wouldn't go on a date with me for 6 months. Can you see where this is going? You know those TikToks of people like making fun of like, not making fun, but making light of their grandmother stories of how they got with their husbands and how it just sounds like a horror story? Again, he immediately wanted to get married, but she didn't want to go out with him and put it off for 6 months. That's how much she didn't want to go out with this man. And now he's her husband. One day she mentioned to Daniel that she was getting a 5-hour flight from Salt Lake City to New York back to Juilliard. She didn't realize his dad owned the airline. So Daniel was like, I'm on that same flight, she says. I remember checking in and them saying, you're 5A and you're 5B. I just thought, no way, that's crazy. Daniel smiles. I made a call. He pulled strings at JetBlue and so began their first date. This is not romantic. This is like some crap that Colleen Hoover writes. This is not romantic. This is creepy. He's pushing boundaries. She did not want to date him, but he uses his dad's airline and money and resources to be like, I'm just going to sit next to her on this flight, so she'll be forced to sit next to me for this 4-hour flight. 5-hour flight. I need to calm down. Dear God. I'm chilling. Back then I thought we should date for a year before marriage, she continues, so I could finish school and whatever. And Daniel was like, it's not gonna work, we've gotta get married now. After a month, they were engaged. 2 months after that, they were married, moving into an apartment Daniel rented on the Upper West Side. And 3 months after that, she was pregnant. The first Juilliard undergraduate to be expecting in modern history. I know we've just read this together, but I want us to reiterate everything that we've just read here. She did not want to go out with him. She did not want to go out with him for 6 months. He used his dad's ownership of an airline to make sure that he sat next to her for a 5-hour flight, so she'd be forced to be next to him, even though she didn't want to date him. When they did start dating, she didn't want to get married for a year so that she could finish school, but he said, no, actually we are getting married. So they got engaged, they got married, and she got pregnant, all within like half a year. Daniel got a job as the director of his father's security company, moving their young family to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where before long she had 3 kids under 4. At first she was still dancing professionally. The family eventually settled in Utah. And here we have yet another infuriating piece of dialogue. Our first few years of marriage were really hard. We sacrificed a lot, she says. But we did have this vision, this dream, and Daniel interrupts. We still do. What kind of sacrifices, I ask her. Well, I gave up dance, which was hard. You give up a piece of yourself. And Daniel gave up his career ambitions. Yeah, but he just said that he always wanted this life. This is always what he wanted. It's just not the life that you wanted. So I'm not seeing what he's giving up here. I look out at the vastness and don't totally agree. Daniel wanted to live in the Great Western Wilds, so they did. He wanted to farm, so they do. He likes date nights once a week, so they go. He didn't want nannies in the house, so there aren't any. The only space earmarked to be Neelemen's own, a small barn she wanted to convert into a ballet studio, ended up becoming the kids' schoolroom. She has nothing. Nothing just for her. Her whole life is him and their kids, which I'm sure she loves her kids and she wants to raise them, but everybody needs something of their own so they don't go completely crazy. They have a cleaner but no childcare. Neelemen does all the food shopping, kids in tow, and cooks from scratch. They don't do ready meals. Despite the more traditional aspects of the relationship, Daniel is a hands-on father, taking the kids out to the farm and doing all the laundry. Thank God he's doing something. The children appear to look after each other quite well too. There are so many that they seem to have become almost self-sustaining entity. Still, Daniel says Neelemen sometimes gets so ill from exhaustion that she can't get out of bed for a week. Do I need to even comment on that? The bedroom is also where she had her children, with the exception of Henry and Martha, who were born in a hospital, a fact that did not escape some of her followers. She also gave birth to them without pain relief. None at all? She shakes her head. Why? I don't know, I just never loved taking it. She stops herself. Except with Martha. I was 2 weeks overdue and she was 10 pounds and Daniel wasn't with me. She lowers her voice. Daniel is currently out of the room taking a phone call. So I got an epidural and it was an amazing experience. Where was Daniel that day? It was shipping day for the meat boxes and he was manning the crew. But the epidural was kind of great. She pauses and smiles. It was kind of great. The fact that she can only give this honest of an answer when Daniel is not listening is insane. I want to ask her about birth control, but we are surrounded by so many of her children and Daniel is back in the room now too. Do you? I pause and look at her fixedly. Plan pregnancies. Keep in mind that the interviewer is looking at Hannah, but Daniel answers, he says no. When he says no, Hannah responds gently. It's very much a matter of prayer for me. I'm like, God, is it time to bring another one onto the earth? And I've never been told no. What does no sound like from God? Has this dude ever spoken? But for whatever reason, it's exactly 9 months after a baby that she's ready for the next one, he says. It's definitely a matter of prayer, she says. It's a matter of prayer, but somehow it's exactly 9 months, he says. That's probably why the church tells you don't have relations, get married. This is Daniel talking, because if not, you might have a kid that you regret and all of a sudden you get an abortion and that's not good. Is this why he wanted to marry her immediately, so they could get it on? And they would see this as a sinful act. Yes, Daniel says. You need Jesus, Neelemen adds. I can't, it seems, get an answer out of Neelemen without her being corrected, interrupted, or answered for by either her husband or child. Usually I am doing battle with a steely Hollywood publicist. Today I'm up against an army of toddlers who all want their mum and a husband who thinks he knows better. I adore this interviewer for being honest here. Why, I ask before I leave, did she do those pageants in between babies? Well, my sister called me and said, "There's a Miss Utah, let's do it together." Just to, she gestures at the children around her, break things up. So essentially, she just needs to have something for her. That's just so sad. And the sequin gowns, well, they used to be in her bedroom cupboard, but with all of her stuff, and Daniel's and Henry's and Charles and George's and Frances and Lois's and Martha's and Mabel's and Flora's, the cupboard got so full that there wasn't any more room. So Daniel put them in the garage. I just feel so horrifically bad for this woman. She went to Juilliard. Not only did she go, she got herself into Juilliard. She managed to get herself scholarships through pageants so she could go to Juilliard and live her dream of being a ballerina. She was good at it. She loved New York and that's where she wanted to be. Then she met this man who insisted that they have to get married immediately, even though she wanted to finish school first. And then she gets pregnant immediately and all of this crap happens and now she doesn't even have anything for herself. The one room, the barn that she created to be her own little space, her own little ballet studio, became a schoolroom for the kids. And anytime she tries to speak in this interview, she's getting interrupted. The only time that she answers honestly is when Daniel isn't there. The only time that she could get an epidural during a very painful pregnancy is when Daniel wasn't there. I despise this man, by the way. I'm not even going to try and be nice about it. I'm not going to pretend that I don't. I despise him. I'm sure, like I said, that Hannah loves her children. I'm sure she does. But you deserve better than this horrible man. And if all of this wasn't enough, there's a clip going around that they posted themselves from Hannah's birthday. She had apparently been hinting that she wanted tickets to go to Greece for her birthday. Obviously that's like a big ask for some people, but bear in mind the richness of Daniel and his family and the fact that his father owns airlines, so he can just get free tickets. And here is that clip.
Okay, it was my birthday present from Daniel. Hoping to tickets to Greece.
Where's it from?
I don't know, the boys took it off.
I took it off.
It's from Ukraine.
So, plane tickets? Ooh, a hat I can wear in Greece.
It's not a hat.
It's not.
Oh, my egg apron!
Eggs in it.
Great, I can gather eggs.
So cute. It's really cute. It's a cute one.
That's the best. You're welcome.
Thanks, honey.
Not for a long time.
There's no reason why he couldn't get her the tickets for Greece that she'd been asking for. There's no reason why he couldn't do that. They can afford it. He can get free tickets. There is no problem. Bring your wife to Greece. Why did he not do that? And even when she's opening the present, he's still filming while she's saying, "Oh, is it tickets to Greece?" You know it's not tickets to Greece. Stop filming and tell her. Like, and she looks so upset at the present that she got. This woman deserves better. She deserves to be brought to Greece. She deserves to have her own little room where she can sit and, I was going to say have a cup of tea, but I don't think Mormons drink tea. Have a lemonade and pray or something. Whatever she wants to do, I don't know. She deserves to do ballet. She gave up all her dreams for this man when she was really, really young. And I hate him. So that is the story of Ballerina Farm, I guess. I'm gonna finish it there. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about everything, and just let me know if you're as infuriated as I am, because I can't even gather my thoughts and my words with how angry this whole situation makes me. Don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me out a lot if you do that, and I really, really appreciate it, so thank you so much. Turn on notifications, like, comment, share, follow me on social media. I'm VangelinaSkov everywhere. You can also check out the Patreon, where you get exclusive stuff. Links for all of that is in the description. Do all the things things that I'm supposed to ask you to do at the end of the video, including remembering to check out Astra with the link in my description. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring today's video, and thank you for watching today's video. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!